Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Perfect. Okay. Good. What time is it? Morning. It is still morning. Good morning. Good morning. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna move this because I'm like a mover arounder, if that's okay. So my name is Backpack Jeff, hence the reason why you saw me put on my backpack. I feel much more comfortable when I'm wearing my backpack. It's sort of like Superman, how Superman puts on a cape. That's the reason why I put on my backpack anytime I go out anywhere and speak. And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because anytime I get up in front of people and speak, or I do poetry because I'm a poet as well, I'm always super nervous. You may not be able to tell right now, but I am extremely nervous. My heart is beating as fast as it could possibly beat right now. But in my backpack, what I do is I put things in my backpack that bring me comfort. I put pictures of my son in my backpack, my daughter, my wife, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my brothers, my sister. So when it's me up here speaking or performing, it's not just me, it's me and everyone else in my backpack who has my back. Okay? So what I like to do in the beginning is I always like to start off with poetry because, again, I love any artists in here, people who love art, writers, creatives of any sort. I love art, and I love how it kind of brings things full circle for us. So I'll start off by saying I never thought that life and a deck of cards would be relatable. But my life has been shuffled and cut so many times, I'm beginning to see the correlation. Phase 1. Love is like playing Old Maid. I mean, you go out into the world looking for a match, blindly choosing cards. You hope that you find the one person that matches so that y'all can live perfectly as the rest of the world plays on. But please don't let me be like the old maid. The one card that nobody wants, destined to live alone with no possible matches, game over. Phase 2, solitaire. I've spent so much time in solitary confinement, trapped inside of my own mind, waiting for the validation of another person. But since I have learned to be alone and that I can enjoy and love myself just as much without the validation of another person to tell me that I'm worth the risk of possibly losing a one-player game, phase 3, go fish. I'd have people come to me and ask, hey, Jeff, you got any time to waste? I mean, are you going out tonight? And I would tell them no. Go fish. I don't have any time wasting cards in my hand. I'm throwing out all my cards and giving this life everything that I've got until I'm empty-handed. Phase 4, I learned magic. I turned my negatives into a positive and made all of the toxic people in my life disappear. Phase 5, blackjack. 21, the number of times life has hit me and knocked me down, but I've gotten up. 22, catch 22, life tried to hold me down and force me to believe that there is no possible way that I can make it back to my feet. But y'all, I refuse to stay down at the bottom. It is simply too overcrowded. Phase 6, speed. See, not only do I have to be as smart as the next person, I also have to beat them to the spot, because even in this game of life, speed kills. Phase 7, Texas Hold'em. I'm holding on to my dreams and I will not fold. I got my goals on the table and I'm going all in. I'm betting on myself. My poker face is laser focused. I will not be distracted by the lies and the deceit of life. I'm calling his bluff. Phase 8. I'm playing spades with God as my partner against the devil in adversity. And I gotta say, y'all, I got 5 definites and 3 possibles in my hand. 5 times devil, I'm definitely going to win. And 3 other times, there is no possible way that I will let you prevail. Phase 9, life tried to throw a wrench in my plan, but simultaneously, I threw down my wrench too and said, I declare war. Phase 10, devil, this is the last time that I willingly let you back into my life. And if I had 4 cards left, they would play out like this. Any type of negative energy you bring to me, I'm reversing it back to you. You can skip me with all of that nonsense and draw 2 just because I don't like you. And I got 1 card left and it's a draw 4. So you know what that means, right? 4 more reasons why you won't be invited back here. Uno, don't come back out. Thank you. All right, who was paying attention to that? How many card games was in that poem? 10? No, close, but no cigar. It was 11, only because phase 10 is also a game, and I went through 10 different ones. So Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so my name is Backpack Jeff. I'm a speaker. I am a poet. I do this professionally, and I love going out. I love doing this. I love telling stories. I'm going to let you all a little bit into my business, okay? And then at the end, you all can ask me a little bit more about my business and the things that I do. And so I love to come up with like different concepts and different theories because I love the way the mind works. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology. My master's degree is in conflict resolution. I'm a professional problem solver. When people come to me, they're just like, Ayana, fix my life. Y'all know her? Yes. Okay. They say, Backpack, fix my life, and I'm like, don't worry, I got you. Okay. And the first thing that I encourage them to do, I love math. Anybody in here math people, math nerds? My math nerds in here. I love math so much because math is absolute. Math is like it's either it's wrong or it's right. It's completely direct. It's like black or white. There's no gray area in math. It's like you did it and you got the right thing, or you did it and you got the wrong thing. Matter of fact, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start off by saying this. Anytime you all go in and hear anybody speak, anytime you go hear anybody speak, I always encourage to take notes. I always encourage to take notes. And the reason that I say that is because my mentor taught me, he said, note takers are money makers. Note takers are money makers. Your eyes can only see and your ears can only hear what your mind is looking for. If you're not looking for anything in this presentation today, chances are you're probably not going to find anything. Chances are you're probably not going to find anything. How many of you all in here, anybody in here drive, got a car, anything like that? Yes? When you were picking out that car, or maybe your parents got a car, or somebody you know has a car, and, huh? It's hand-me-down? Okay, yeah, absolutely. My first car was a 1994 Ford Taurus, and it was $400. A long time ago. But when I was thinking about like buying different cars, I want to tell you all how the mind works, right? How the mind gets activated in certain things, and you start to notice it. When I was picking out the car that I have right now, I have a Jeep Cherokee, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, I haven't seen this car on the road like ever. Like I've never seen somebody with this car. I thought I was being unique by getting this car. I said, I've seen a couple of this car, but I ain't really seen it in this color right here. I'm trying to be extremely unique. I got the car. I see this car every time I make a left turn. Here's the car everywhere I am, and it's the same color. It's the same color. It's like all of a sudden that day they sold 10,000 models of the same exact car in the same exact color that they did to me to the whole rest of the world. The reason that works is my mentor, Tony Robbins, he says we have something called a reticular activating system. It activates in us, and i.e. your eyes can only see and your ears can only hear what your mind is looking for. So if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. Okay, so let's get back to my math. I love math, again, because it's absolute. So solve for X. I need us to figure out what X is. And this is supposed to be motivating. This is supposed to help you all learn a bit about conflict resolution. And so anytime you're trying to solve any sort of problem, you got to solve for X. You got to solve for X. Anybody here like movies? I love movies. I started liking movies a lot more because my wife, she's a screenwriter. She be doing fancy stuff like working on BET sets, and I get to be her plus one. I'm like her plus one husband. She's like, babe, I gotta go out here and I gotta record this movie. I was like, you get a plus one, right? Cause it's a us now. it's not just you, baby. It's a us now. Okay, like do they need my meal order? Because when you go on set, you get meal orders and stuff like that. So I had to, it's a meal budget. Everybody has to, there's a whole bunch of rules and laws and stuff like that. It's amazing. But I like movies. And the reason why I love movies is because there's always some conflict in the movie. Think about that. That's the reason why you go and see movies. It's the reason why you like movies. It's because of the conflict. You've never seen a movie where everything worked out. If you did, you wouldn't go and see it again, and you would rate it a 0 out of 0 stars. You've never seen a movie where the guy or the girl, they meet each other, they're high school sweethearts, they graduate high school with a 4.0 grade point average, they get into the college of their dreams, they graduate college, undergraduate degrees with a 4.0 grade point average, they go on to get master's degrees, they get 4.0 grade point averages. After that, they decide to have a child, she conceives, and they have a child exactly 9 months to the day after they conceived the baby. She didn't swell at all. She had a very easy pregnancy. She delivered in like 1 hour. They had another kid like 5 years later, same situation, delivered delivered exactly 9 months after, had no issues with the pregnancy, delivered in exactly 1 hour. They had dogs. Even their dogs were perfect, y'all. The dogs, they got a male dog and a female dog, and they had dog puppies, and then they became grandparents. They made it to the top. They made it to the top of their industries. They went on to own Fortune 500 companies. They became grandparents at 65 years old, and their kids had perfect pregnancies and all of these different things. They lived in a beautiful house. They were able to travel and buy vacation houses and do everything that they want. They died at 95 years old in the bed together holding hands. That sounds like a beautiful story, but I never watched that movie. I would never watch that movie. You know why? Because I'm waiting for something to happen. This is how I know we're supposed to have conflict in our lives. We're waiting on something to happen. So if you're dealing with some sort of challenge, the only thing you got to do is figure out what the challenge is. And once you figure out what the challenge is, then you can begin to solve for it. I had a challenge in my life. I wanted to be a professional speaker, because y'all wouldn't believe what these people get paid to speak for an hour. What? Y'all know how much they get paid to speak for an hour? No? How much you think? If you were to come to a college and speak, and I do an event here every single year, how much would you expect to get compensated just to go somewhere and talk for an hour?
Yearly or
Just one time for the hour that I'm here today, how much would you expect to get compensated for this hour? Huh?
It makes me seem like it's like $1,000.
How much? What you think? Depends on what? I'm not famous. Y'all don't know me. Y'all know Backpack Jeff? No, I'm not saying that. But it does. You're absolutely right. So if you've built the following, you can get paid a lot more. 100% correct. $600? Okay. Anybody else? Got it? Give me a number. Somebody throw a number out, because this is math.
15,000. Okay. 257.
Okay. I love it. I like where you're thinking. Anybody else? Any ideas? How much would you get paid to go somewhere and speak for an hour? My mentor charges $50,000 an hour. $50,000. I charge $10,000 an hour. I charge $10,000 an hour.
Do you actually get jobs? Do you actually? $10,000? Oh, no. I'm gonna learn how to speak if I gotta make a company. I'm gonna learn how to speak myself.
You can get paid. So on the low end, it's like 35. It's like 3,500, but you can get paid around $10,000 for every single speaking engagement that you go to. Right? It's a beautiful thing to be able.
How much do you? How
It's a beautiful. Huh?
How many speakers?
Usually one speaking engagement a day. Usually, because after I do this, I'm like worn out. But again, I had to figure out how to solve for X, okay? We're getting too far into that part. We got to figure out how to solve for X. You have an issue or a concern in your life. You got to figure out how to solve for X. Number one, X is not predetermined. My X was, I wanted to create generational wealth in my family. I wanted to make sure that my children didn't have the same struggles that I had. I wanted to make sure that I could retire my mother, who's worked for the government for over 35 plus years and who doesn't have a home to go to. And when she looks at certain places, she says, it's too expensive. I can't live there. That's a problem for me. My dad is 61 years old. He has an amputated right leg and he's homeless. That's a problem for me. I've got problems that I'm trying to figure out how to solve for X. Here's the thing. Your problems don't look like my problems. Your trauma doesn't look like my trauma. My trauma doesn't look like yours, but we all have them because it's a part of our movie. It's a part of our story. It's supposed to happen. So when it happens, I need you to embrace it. Here's one of the things that I want us to do. If we're solving for X, this becomes our goal. I need you to figure out what your goal in your life is. One of the issues that I've had in my life was that people tried to predetermine what my X was going to be. They looked at me. I was raised in a single mom before. My dad sold drugs, and they looked at me and they said, this kid will probably never become anything. In fact, only 4% of kids in his situation will ever make it out of poverty into upper middle class. It's what they told me that my life could possibly be. I went to my mentor from college and I said, hey, I want to do this speaking thing. He said, don't think that that's going to pay your bills. The only people you'll be able to talk to is at-risk youth. And this was my mentor who saw me do the worst of the worst in order to stay in school, in order to I worked 3 jobs. I was a full-time student and a 2-sport athlete and put myself through school 4 years. He saw me do that and told me, don't think that this is going to pay your bills and you're only going to be able to speak to at-risk youth. Here's what I want you to do. When you're thinking about your goal, I want you to take your goal, throw it in the trash, and make it bigger. I want you to take your goal, whatever it is that's on your mind right now, throw it in the trash, and I want you to make it bigger. I learned this lesson from my mentor. His name is Les Brown. He said most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. I've aimed low all my life. All I wanted to do was graduate high school. And then after that, all I wanted to do was I just wanted to graduate college. And then it wasn't until about 25 years old, I started working on myself. I started doing professional development. I started doing personal development. I started to learn how to love myself because I didn't really love myself. I didn't really love myself. People was telling me what my ex could possibly be. I had to figure out who I was. I had to determine who it was that I wanted to be. And then after I determined who it was that I wanted to be, it was easy for me to then be able to solve the problem. So I want to tell y'all this story that I learned a little while ago about these fleas. Okay, I love nothing to do with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. No. So I want to tell you about these fleas. So scientists, what they did was they put these fleas in a jar. Now, if you know about fleas, fleas can jump extremely high. I mean, they can jump extremely high. But they put these fleas in a jar, and then they put a lid on the jar, okay? Which said to the fleas, I can't do anything but jump this high. This is as high as I can jump right here. And they were conditioned to believe that this is how high they could possibly jump. What happened next was very interesting. They took the lid off, and even though the fleas could jump out of the jar, they still never jumped any higher than what that cap estimated for them, even though the cap wasn't on there. And then here's what became very interesting. They took all of the fleas out, left one flea in, dumped in new fleas who had never had the limitation. They saw the one flea jumping only this high, and then guess what? They started to believe that this is only how high we can jump. Here's what I'm saying to you. Just because people that are associated with you, just because my family, their ex wasn't of a particular value that I wanted, didn't mean that I couldn't raise the value of my ex. I want you to raise the value of your ex. You can't be afraid to jump. You can't be afraid to jump. At some point in time in your life, you're going to have to jump. You're going to have to jump out of the situation that you're in. You're going to have to jump past the limitations that you have. And then sometimes it gets a little scary, but it's okay. It's supposed to be scary because that's a part of the conflict. And my family, I love my family. I love my family. And they hate that I talk about them so much, but they did this to themselves. I love my family, but sometimes, y'all, they be working my nerves. Oh my goodness, they be stressing me out because they're so negative. You know, they're so negative. Like, it don't matter what you tell them, they're going to tell you the worst possible outcome. Y'all, I'm about to go into DC. I got a show tonight. I got to perform. Oh, you're going to DC? You know you're not going to find parking. It's just parking. You know what? It's been a stressful week. I've been speaking all week. I'm going to go to Great Falls, and I'm just going to go hiking. Be careful. You know there's bears out there. What? First off, two things. Number one, I'm not going to be the only one out there. Number two, if I'm not going to be the only one out there, I don't got to outrun the bear. I just got to outrun the slowest person. I'll be completely fine, I think. So there's something that I wanted to do for my 28th birthday. I wanted two things. I wanted all you can eat crabs. Any of my crab lovers in here? Yes, love it. That's it. Maryland, that's what Maryland does. Crab cakes and football. So, so I wanted crabs. I wanted all you can eat crabs. Give me like 3 dozen and I'm good and we'll be good. And the second thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to go skydiving. I wanted to go skydiving. I wanted to do it so bad too. But if I told my family that I wanted to go skydiving, they'd probably tell me I was going to die. They probably tell me, Jeff, it'll never work. They probably tell me, you know, your life insurance policy is going to be null and void because this is considered a hazardous activity. So if you do die up there in the air, you know it's not going to pay out anybody, right? Well, yeah, I know that. Are you going skydiving by yourself? No, I'm not. I cannot leave my life in my hands in this moment. I've never done this before. If I am going to die skydiving, I need it to be somebody else's fault because he didn't pull the parachute, not because I didn't pull the parachute. Okay? And then on my 28th birthday, y'all, I ended up doing it. You ain't going to believe it. Look at my face. You tell me.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Look at that view. Ain't that beautiful?
That is true.
Oh my goodness. And he pulled the parachute. We lived. Yes. Yes. I did it, y'all. I jumped out of an airplane, 15,000 feet in the air. It took me 12 minutes to come to the ground. I did a 45-second free fall where the parachute was not out, and I lived to talk about it.
Amen.
Amen. Listen, 100% amen. And here's the thing, y'all. I realize that sometimes people will try to place fears on us that they have in their lives, but I don't want you to be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. That's a famous quote by Steve Jobs. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Y'all, I wasn't afraid to graduate. So when you're solving problems, there's a couple of things that you got to do first in order to solve that problem. I want you to break down that problem into its simplest form. Life is simple. We as people are the ones who complicate it. For real. We complicate. You know what my greatest asset is? My mind. You know what my greatest liability is? My mind. No, it's my mind. And the reason being is because I can think through just about anything, but I overthink just about everything. The simplest thing, like tying my shoes, sometimes I'd be like, let me do that again. I don't like. Nah, let me go over in the No, I don't like it. I need you to break down life into its simplest form. And here's the thing. Within your thoughts, it all happens within your thoughts. And the reason being is because this is the thing that you got to lay down with every single day. This is the thing that you're going to have to take with you everywhere that you go. So whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're both right, okay? You got to solve your thoughts. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think very negative of myself. Again, I didn't practice self-love until 25. I used to start thinking negative of myself because of some of the things that my family instilled in me. They put so many different fears on us. I never wanted to go to the military. You know why? Because they told me if you go to the military, you're going to be put on the front line and they're going to send you to a war and you're going to be the first one dead and shot. I said, military, not for me. I said, that's enough for me. They'll try to scare you out of anything. And it's stuff that they haven't even experienced. They'll try to scare you out of, okay? So I need you to solve your thoughts. I want you to break down your problem into its simplest form. When in my family, they used to call me all the time. They used to call me Jeff's child. Jeff's child. That's my dad's name, Jeff. And I was really clumsy when I was a kid. Jeff. I had 2 left feet. It was like I was walking like this everywhere I went. And it didn't matter. Like, you know how like when you give somebody something, you go, be careful, don't drop it. And they don't drop it. I still dropped it. They would call me Jeff Child. And because of that, I felt some type of way when they would call me Jeff Child. I was like, man, I ain't Jeff's child. Stupid. I was upset. I'm upset because they're calling me this. And it made me feel some type of way about being Jeff's child. I was like, man, I ain't Jeff's child. What's wrong with y'all? Man, I'm me. That's who I am. And so what happened was I got conditioned to believe that it wasn't good to be Jeff Child. And then I started to solve some problems in my life. I started to achieve a little bit of success. And then I started watching like different movies. Anybody here into like Greek mythology and stuff like that? Like you love watching 300, Thor, all of those different kinds of things. Game of Thrones, peoples. Yes. We watching the dragons thing. I can't remember the name of it, but it's out there. But when they say their name, they say their name and who they're the son of. Y'all ever pick up on that? They say my name is Hercules, son of Zeus. My name is Triton, son of Poseidon. My name is Apelleus, son of Achilles. And they would say these different things. And when I thought about it, I'm like, I don't want to say I'm Jeff's child. I can't say I'm just not a good thing to be Jeff's child. But it's only not a good thing if I allow that to be the narrative. I had to change the narrative of what it meant to be Jeff's child. I want you to write down, change the narrative. Change the narrative of what it means to be you and realize that it is worth actually being you. And you got to know that. And the only way you know that is if you know that from your thoughts, okay? That's the only way you know that is from your thoughts. as you're going through and as you're solving this problem that you have, here's what happens. You know what happens in math as you're solving your problem? You start to realize that if it's a long problem, if you mess up one part in that problem, it messes up the whole problem, don't it? Oh my goodness. And then you get points not for the right answer, but for showing your work. You get points for not the right answer, but for showing your work. And it's very interesting to me, right? So here, what I had to do, I had to realize that I was the answer to the problem that my family had. A lot of the trauma that we had as a family, I had to realize that I was the answer to those traumas. I had to realize that I was the solution. And each and every one of you all can be that same exact thing for your family if you choose to solve for X, okay? When you're solving for X, here's a couple of things that you're going to have to keep in mind. Number one, there's going to be variables. There's going to be variables. One type of variable is called a dependent variable. I told you I love math. You all are going to go back to your math teachers and go, we learned about independent variables and dependent variables and constants. There's going to be some dependent variables. Dependent variables rely on other variables to find their value, okay? They rely on other variables in order to find their value. I was relying on other people to tell me what my life could possibly be worth. I was a dependent variable. I was subject to what people believed based off of what they accomplished and based off of what they see. But then I realized at some point in my life that, I seen a couple of things. When I was a kid, we used to dream so big when we was kids, y'all. We was foolish enough to believe that we could be anything. Superheroes, astronauts. We was foolish enough to believe that we can be those things, not knowing that we can actually be those things. I used to play games when I was a kid. We used to sit on the porch and we used to play That's My Car. Y'all ever played that game before? We used to sit there. We used to be like, oh, that's my car right there. That's my car. And here's the thing. And no shade. I'm going to use my car. Matter of fact, I've never said that's my car to a Jeep Cherokee. Yeah. Never have I ever. Never have I said, oh, I like that Lexus. I like that BMW. I like that Mercedes-Benz. I like that Range Rover. I like that Porsche because those came around. I seen a little motorcycle. I was like, boom, boom. I was like, yeah, that's my car. But then somebody came to me and said, you can't do that. You should be a little bit more realistic. Just be a little bit more realistic. And they may not have said that verbatim, but they'll try to push you in certain directions. They'll try to make you dependent on them and their thought process, y'all. I don't want us to think that we have to be dependent on anyone else, right? Dependent variables you cannot change the value of it, cannot change the value of an independent variable, and they're determined by the value of the independent variable, okay? Here's what I want y'all to think. I want y'all to take from this quote down here at the bottom. Your current thinking won't get you to where you're trying to go. Your current mode of thinking is not going to get you to where you're trying to go. You're going to have to continue to elevate. You're going to have to continue to desire. You're going to have to continue to get information. You're going to have to continue to pursue as much information as you possibly can. Then you got a thing that's called independent variables. Independent variables do not rely on other variables to find their own value. Y'all, when I went to my mentor and I told him I wanted to be a speaker, and he told me that this won't pay my bills and I can only speak to at-risk youth, the only issue that was wrong with that statement was he didn't realize that I was an independent variable to like the 10th power. I was an independent variable to like the 10th power because I wasn't going to let him have the power over my life. I wasn't going to let him write my story because I recognize that winners write history and losers become a part of the story. Don't let somebody write your story for you because I guarantee they're not going to write the ending to your life the way that you would want it to be written. Y'all, I'm bougie. I like nice things. I have to be successful. I have to. I have to be successful. I wanted, my ex was so big that I would take it to other people and I would tell them, yo, this is what I want for my life. And somehow, for some reason, they just couldn't understand what it was that I wanted. And then I realized that you can't tell multifamily dreams to apartment-minded people. It just don't work. They don't think as big as I do. They're not crazy enough to believe, like children, that I can be an astronaut or that I can be a superhero. Every day I go out and I speak, I'm a superhero. My daughter FaceTimed me one time. She was like, hey, aren't you my dad? And I was like, whoa. Did your mom tell you something that she didn't tell me? What's happening? Are you okay? I was like, why do you ask? She said, because my friends, they don't believe that you're my dad. I was like, well, why don't they believe I'm your dad. She said, because I showed them your Instagram, your TikTok, and your YouTube, and your website, and how you go out and you speak, and you're traveling all over the world, and you're signing kids' jeans, and signing kids' backpacks, and signing their arms, making their parents mad, but they asked me to do it, so it'll be okay. Signing all of these different things, and you're famous, and they just didn't believe it. I was like, well, yes, I'm your dad. Like, I was like, okay. One of her friends grabbed the phone. She said, oh my gosh, you're famous. And you're bald head. You're Michael Jordan. First of all, Michael Jordan does not have this luxurious beard, okay? He does not have this luxurious beard, okay? But I had to realize that I was an independent variable, and that and that the only thing that could change me solving the problem in my life was me. And I wasn't going to give somebody else the power over my life. I had to be constant. Here's the thing that I learned, y'all. I learned that you take you everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, and how you do anything is how you do everything. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're average, I was average in sports. I was average as a son. I was average as a boyfriend. I was average as a brother. I was average as a friend. I was average at work. How you do anything is how you do everything. You can put the new man in a new car. It's still going to drive the same because you didn't change the man. I had to change me. I was constant. I started to get constant in everything in my life. I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything except for my absolute best. Nothing but my absolute best will do in this time of my life. I want you to start saying that to yourself right now. Nothing less than your absolute best will do at this point in your life, because the next version of you is going to require the best version of you. And here's the thing. The quicker you get it, the longer you get to enjoy it. Ooh. Y'all, I'm 34 years old. I'm 34 years old. I just stopped paying for my mistakes that I made when I was 18, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. You got your hand raised? For sure. 100%. I learned so many lessons in sports. Just like I'm teaching through math, I can teach through sports too. I 100% think that sports taught me a bunch of valuable lessons. So here's a couple of things you got to figure out how you're going to get there. Number one, I didn't know how I was going to go to college. If you don't write anything down, I need you to write this down. Write down Scholly, Scholly. Scholly, Scholly. This is an app that will show you every scholarship that is in the entire United States of America. Every year, millions of dollars of scholarship money goes unclaimed. The reason being is because y'all don't know about it. Take this from somebody who is over $100,000 in student loan debt. Scholly, Scholly. It will show you every single scholarship. Information will change your situation, and what you know can and will hurt you. In some way, shape, or form, what you don't know can and will hurt you. I'll give you an example. How many people here are left-handed? Did you know there's a scholarship for that? Did you know there's a scholarship for that? They'll show you every single scholarship based off of your major, your grade point average, where you want to go to school, your ethnicity, your background, all of your gender, all of those different. They will show you every single scholarship that is out there. Please do not lose that information, okay? When I was in college, I was going through a couple of different things, and I realized that my life just wasn't adding up. Like my life just wasn't adding up. I wanted better, but I couldn't see how to solve for X. Nobody ever showed me how to solve for X. I was a full-time student, 2-sport athlete, and I worked 3 jobs in order to put myself through school. For some reason, things were not adding up. I didn't change my thought process in that time. But here's what I want y'all to do. As you guys kind of navigate through life, I want you to have, number one, have something that you're working towards. I think one of the biggest issues that I see in a lot of the students that I work with is that they just don't have something that they're working towards, so they don't know what to do on a daily basis. It's just kind of like they live every single day aimlessly a little bit, and they just aren't really sure of like what to do next. But when you have some sort of goal, something that you're working towards, it makes every single day that much more useful and that much more beneficial, y'all. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to add memories. I want you to add positive thoughts, and I want you to add passions. Figure out what you're passionate about, and then figure out how to get paid for it. Figure out what you're passionate about, and then figure out how to get paid for it. I want you to subtract fear. subtract doubt, subtract disbelief, subtract pessimism. Multiply with the people that believe in you by finding mentors. How many of you all have mentors? You need 5 mentors in your life at least. At least 5 mentors. How many of you all know what you want to do when as you get older? Find people who are doing successfully what it is that you're doing and have them to mentor you. Here's the thing about mentors. They don't have to be mentors that you can physically touch. Like, you don't have to have their phone number. I got mentors who I've never met and who've never met me, but they mentor me every single day. I listen to their podcasts. I listen to their interviews. I go back and I take their courses. I take their workshops. I listen to the stuff that they're saying. And wouldn't you know it, they started to navigate my life. You know what that's called in math? That's called showing your work. That's called showing your work. They showed their work. So why wouldn't I, if I want to solve the problem of getting to $50,000 an hour, and he showed his work on how to get to $50,000, now he charges $200,000 an hour, but he showed his work on how to get to $50,000 an hour. Why wouldn't I follow the formula? Why wouldn't I follow the formula? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract comes last, right? Order of operations. He gave me every single order of what to do and how to make it successful. I just followed the formula, y'all. And then finally, you're going to have to divide your life up into small parts and you're going to have to solve each. I learned from T.D. Jakes that you need to learn how to be a juggler because a lot of people, different people, and a lot of things are going to be tugging at you. I wear a lot of different hats, a lot of different masks, depending on what you want to say. I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a boss, I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I'm a student. I'm all of these different things. And I've got to learn how to navigate every single last one of these things. I got to learn how to juggle all of these different responsibilities that I have. So you want to divide your life up into smaller categories so that you can solve those problems. And I got a couple of minutes left. So next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find who can help you solve this problem. There is a book that I encourage you to read that changed my life. It's called Who, Not How. It's called Who, Not How. One of the biggest problems that we find in trying to solve our problems is we're always trying to figure out how to do it as opposed to figuring out who can help us do it. You got to find the right people and put the right people in the right places. When I first started to be an entrepreneur, the first thing that you hear as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to spend money to make money. In the beginning, you're going to have to lose money. I said, I'm not losing no money. What's wrong with you? I know how to do this. I'm great at everything. Didn't happen that way. I met this girl. We were partnering on this event. We were doing a comedy show. Rented out the theater, a couple $1,000s. She's like, Jeff, how much is everything going to cost? I said, don't worry about how much everything's going to cost. I got it. Don't worry about it. If we fall short on anything, I'm going to pay for it. I got it. I'm making money, honey. She's like, Jeff, how much is everything going to cost? Don't worry about it. All you got to do is help me sell these tickets. We're going to get the money from the tickets. We're going to take that. We're going to pay for the stuff. We're going to break it down afterwards. I got it. Come time for the event. I look at her and I go, hey, the comedians want to get paid now. Where's the money from the tickets? She was like, what? She was like, oh, you wanted that? Excuse me? Excuse me, ma'am? What'd you say? She said, oh, you wanted that? I was like, yeah. She's like, that's why I was asking you how much everything was going to cost, because if I would have known that, I would have gave you some of it. Whoa. What? You would have gave me some of it? No, you would have gave me all of it. What's happening? If you're going to the mall and I say, hey, can you take this shirt back for me? It's not fitting. You're not going to spend my money that you're going to get from my $16 shirt. You're going to give me the money back, right? But one of the mistakes that we make is thinking that everybody that we know lives by the same principles. Everybody that you know don't live by the same principles, and you can't expect that from every single person, okay? So as you start to advance in your life, there's different, as you start to advance, there's different parts of math, okay? And the more you advance, the more difficult the problems become. Here's the thing. How many people in here, like, you just made it up in your mind that you want to be rich? Nobody, it's nothing wrong with being rich. It's okay, because the richer you are, the more people you can help, okay? If you want to be rich, it's perfectly fine. I want to be rich. But here's the thing. When you become a millionaire, you're going to have millionaire problems, okay? You're going to have millionaire problems. Sometimes it's nice making that little $20,000 a year because you only got $20,000 problems. When you become a millionaire, you're going to have $1 million problems, and your thought process has to be ready for those different things. As you get older, you're going to graduate every single level of your life. Us adults in the room, we know we out here playing calculus, and some of us is like, I have no idea what this equation looks like. But some adults, they find it difficult to adult because they find it difficult to adult in calculus because they didn't learn what they were supposed to learn when they were you all's age and pre-algebra and geometry and algebra and pre-calculus. It's difficult to learn calculus if you don't know algebra because you're going to wonder stuff's not adding up and I need to figure out what's going on in my life. Okay, so here's what I'm saying to y'all. As you all are taking these different experiences that y'all have, I want you to make sure that you all are learning from these different experiences. Okay, remember, your problems don't get smaller, you just get bigger. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, love it. Okay, so we already talked about who's going to guide you and the 5 things. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation because I have to leave time for questions here. One of the things that I love doing is I love helping people. I have an entrepreneur group where I meet with entrepreneurs every Tuesday and Sunday night, and I help them to build, start, scale, and grow their businesses. And I'm really big on systems. So please don't be afraid to ask questions in this portion. I live by a philosophy of closed mouths don't get fed. Okay, so if you have a question, please don't feel like any question is too absurd. I'm writing my life down in a book. So yes, we'll start here. Yes.
What 2 sports did you play?
Basketball and football and volleyball. Yep, basketball, football, and volleyball. Yes.
You're meant to be someone who's already dead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can.
Absolutely. A couple of my mentors, Zig Ziglar is dead, Jim Rohn is dead. I still let them mentor me every day. In fact, on the way up here, I was listening to their old tapes on the way up here. They mentor me absolutely, even though they are dead. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Dr. King, all of these different amazing people mentor me. Bob Proctor, recent one who just passed, upset that I didn't have an opportunity to meet him, but he still mentors me because he has different lessons that I can learn from him every single day. Yes, ma'am.
Throughout your road, what is something that you wish you did or you wish you didn't do?
Some of the things that I wish I did. I wish I communicated a lot better the things that I was going through in terms of financially, because I had a car repossessed while I was at work. I didn't even have to have that car repossessed. But you know what I was afraid of? I was just afraid of answering the phone and telling them my financial situation. Something as trivial as that, in which I would have had the money to eventually pay it back, but I wish I would have paid it. I wish I would have communicated better. And then number 2, I wish I would have learned about money. You have to learn about finances. If y'all don't know about finances, if you don't know about money, you got to learn about the money, okay? You got to learn about money, how to get your credit card, what to do, all of those different things. You can't do anything in this world of substance without good credit, honestly. Yes.
So you said you about being a speaker. How did that impact you?
Yep. So it actually changed my life, and the reason I say it changed my life is because, excuse me, speaking allowed me to travel the world. Number 1, number 2, it allowed me to impact multiple people and show them ways that they can advance their lives. So I live by a philosophy. The more people you can help get what they want, the more you can have what you want. And you don't even have to ask for it. And what I started to figure out was that the more people that I help get what they want, everything that I wanted in my life, it just started to be handed to me. And the reason being is because, good karma, what the energy that you put out is exactly what you're going to get back. I believe in reciprocity. And so the more that I do, the more that comes back to me in a positive way. 1 second, I'm going to come back to you. Go ahead. What's your next one?
All right. So I was gonna ask. So outside of speaking, do you sometimes speak at events?
Yeah, yep, I speak at events. So I don't just speak. I also speak and I do curriculum. So I've built curriculums based off of certain life skills that I've learned: social emotional learning, conflict resolution, how to create a winning culture, leadership and management, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So not only do I do this, I also go to different businesses, organizations, and I help them with professional and personal development. And those, so I've got like contracts with schools, and those contracts could, I'll go there for an hour a week, and they could range and vary in terms of price.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to go first, Michael? Okay. Even though I know that people pay for your time,
Mm-hmm.
I am also a coach.
Okay.
And I teach or coach track and field. Is there ways that you do seminars or you reach out to people or talk to athletes or anything like that? Because I'm not going to say I want you to come for free, but
I would come for free.
Okay, because
I would come for free.
Sitting in this room, but I think you would be very beneficial for either the athletic department or just in general for kids to get some.
So let me. I would come for free. I'm doing this for free. But here's the understanding. When you grow, right? You're learning more. You're learning more about life. There's something called an in-kind letter. An in-kind letter. An in-kind letter says that, hey, Backpack Jeff, he came to us, he did this event for free, and he waived his $3,500 fee. Who am I giving that in-kind letter to? The IRS. You know why? Because now that's a $3,500 tax write-off. It's a $3,500 tax write-off. So I'm doing more free events these days. Okay. Now I'm still getting paid for my stuff, but I'm doing more free events because I've started to understand business, and you have to learn, and you have to grow, and you have to evolve, right? This is like calculus stuff. In the beginning, I wasn't doing that. I was just writing off my little small stuff. But now I'm starting to understand more. I'm starting to get into the calculus of business and speaking and starting to learn these different practices and different traits. Talk to me. Mm-hmm. My whole athletic career. I was like at a C. And I was like at a C. And here's the thing. I was at like a C because of me. Like all of the distractions that I had in my life, it was simply because of me. I was 6'3", 205 pounds. I ran a 4.5 40. I had a 38-inch vertical. I could do a broad jump 10 and a half feet. You know when all of that happened? After I graduated and after it meant nothing. Wasted talent. Wasted talent. And so I said to myself, I can't do anything with this. By this time, I have my daughter as well. I can't do anything with this. So what I have to do is the same amount of energy, effort, time that I put into sports, I got to put that same energy, time, and effort into speaking, and let me see what happens. Let's see what happens if I go hard at speaking. Let's see what happens if I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I do my meditation. I go to the gym. I start reading. I start getting information. Let's see what happens if I give this my everything. And you know what happened? My whole life changed. My whole life changed. I couldn't believe it. When I was younger, I used to dream about having the house that I have right now. I used to dream about having the house that I have right now. And I got it at 32 years old. My wife wasn't even 30 when we got this house. On my dad's side of the family, there's nobody on my dad's side of the family who has a house like we have. $750,000 house. Nobody has that. But I put everything into this. I put everything into this. And if you do that same thing with sports, if you do that same thing with whatever it is that you love, 100%, when people are asking you to go out, listen, I don't got no time wasting cards in my hand. I'm throwing out all my cards and giving this like everything that I've gotten to them empty-handed. I don't have anything left. I want to die on E. Yes.
Were you with your wife before 25?
No, I wasn't ready for my wife when I was 25 years old. Yeah.
Since you weren't together, how did that emotionally?
Yeah, so I think so. My wife, and I think she'll say this, so I think I have the license to say this. I was a big part of my wife changing her life, and I love that because she wasn't afraid to learn from me. And sometimes when you get into relationships, people don't want to, you can't teach me nothing. You can't teach. No, she taught me how to love. She taught me how to embrace myself emotionally. She taught me about self-care. She taught me about all of those different things because I didn't know what that was. I just go 100 miles per hour. But she taught me how to slow down and just relax, Jeff, a little bit. I'm like, I took my first vacation without my laptop, y'all.
Oh, no.
Y'all should have seen me. I was on the beach like, what do I do now? Oh my gosh, I know I got an email. So when I met my wife, she had been working on publishing her book for like 5 years. She was making like $60,000 a year. And in 1 year of meeting her, she published her book. She also became a book coach in which she helped other people to write books. And she became a 6-figure earner all in 1 year. And she got out of a certain friend group that she was in. because she realized that the only thing that they did when they would meet up was just gossip and talk about other people, gossip and talk about other people. And she recognized that her friends, they would all say, this year gonna be my year, this year gonna be my year, and it never was. And it never was. It never was. But I told everything that I had done in my life, I said, I'm going to start my podcast. I said, I'm going to do this. She saw me doing those things. And it's difficult to be around someone who's working as hard as I'm working and not want to have that same feeling of working on yourself. And that's one of the things that I love about my wife, is that she wasn't afraid to allow me to teach her. I saw some hands over here. Yes? Okay.
Wait, how did you know that speech was something that you wanted to do? You mentioned psychology. Was that an influence?
Yes, 100%. Because when you are speaking, you're definitely using a form of psychology. And in 2014, June 4th, 2014, I lost my house and my job the same exact day. And I had to figure out what my next move was going to be. I got into the insurance business, a sales business, and essentially I work on flat commission. So if I don't sell anything, I don't get paid anything. And so in order to keep myself up mentally, I listen to motivational speakers, and I just listened to them all day. And then eventually I said, man, I can do that. And then I heard him say, I make $50,000. I said, what? I said, okay, how do we become a speaker? I did my first speaking engagement. I rented out a theater. I sold tickets for it. I spent like $2,000 or $3,000 on it. 30 people showed up. 30 people showed up. 15 of them I invited. They were part of my church choir. They were going to open up for me. I only sold 15 tickets at like $15. I lost like $2,700 that day. Thank goodness that didn't stop me though. But yeah, that's psychology influenced that. Yes.
So you can continue to influence the youth. Could you share your Instagram?
Yep, everything is Backpack Jeff. I'm easy to find. Everything is Backpack Jeff. Google.com, Xbox, PlayStation, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, everything is Backpack Jeff. Not Backpack Jack, and it's not Backpack Joe. It's Backpack Jeff. Okay? Yes. You all are cool if you know where I got that from.
Jeff Dunham.
Yes,
I
you're
love
cool.
him.
You're cool.
What's your work schedule like? Like, do you work 7 days a week, 5 days a week? Like, what is it?
I work right now. I work 7 days a week. Right now, I mean, Friday is like, I get to do what I want on Fridays, but on Saturday and Sunday, I work at juvenile detention centers. So I go to 2 juvenile detention centers on Saturdays and Sundays, and I teach the life skills programs that I was telling y'all about. So I do those, and then Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, really, I have to work my own business the same way that I would work for a regular company. And that requires a lot of discipline. And so pretty much my schedule is, because my wife is gone in the morning, I have my son from like 6 to 8. His nanny will come to the house, and then I'll go to my office from like 8 until like 4 or something like that, if I don't have to go speak or if I don't have to go and do something. But it's a lot of research. You spend about 80% of your time in development, and I only spend like 20% of my time doing this. Most everything that I'm doing is like behind the scenes. It's like behind the scenes type stuff, learning stuff, reading books, listening to podcasts, recording podcasts, shooting content, recording content, all of those different things. That's like 80% of my time. I only do about 20% of it, of this. Yes. Yes. Yep. No, so I'm researching how to be a better speaker. I'm researching different stories, different moral stories, different parables. I don't want anybody to be able to tell me something about the speaking industry that I don't already know. So I have to be at top of my game as often as I possibly can. I have to constantly be downloading information. And then I'm also reaching curriculums. I'm not an educator by trade, so I don't know how to create curriculum. So I have to learn how to create curriculum, and then I have to write the curriculum, because you can pay people to do these things, but that's, thousands of dollars. And that's not something that I want to invest in right now. I want to learn the process for a couple of reasons. But the main reason is that when I teach, when I get someone to do it and they say, oh, this took me 7 weeks to do it. I'm like, well, it took me 2 weeks to do the one that I was doing, and I'm not a professional at it. Seems like you should be able to do it much faster than I would be able to do it. And it looks the exact same. When I say I'm researching, that's what I'm doing. But then I'm also trying to figure out and navigate these different curriculums, and it takes time to write them. But with new technology now, with AI and all of those different things, and like Final Cut Pro and all those different things, it makes everything that I'm doing much easier. Yeah. Any other questions?
I just want to kind of
Yes.
wrap things up.
Of course.
And say thank you I hope that you guys took something special away from today. And then number two, how things have come full circle. What I got, you said that you didn't want to be Jeff's son,
Mm-hmm.
but you wrapped it up and you said that your daughter was pointing at the phone,
Yep.
telling her friends. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yes,
You know,
be somebody that your
notice
kids can
that,
brag about.
I
And
know-
you know what else is interesting about that? My son is 6 months old, and I named him Jeff. So he's Jeff, son of Jeff, son of Jeff.
God bless you.
So thank y'all. I appreciate you all. If you all have any questions, you can DM me. You can. My phone number is on my website. My email is on there. So reach out to me. I am very accessible. I would love to continue to help and to coach you all. You all enjoy the rest of your day. My motto is always stay in your bag, so you never got to chase a bag. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Today was good.